Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Now we continue with process 2 for win-win Berhad. Okay, for process 2, you have the first one is from process 1, that is your input. So from your input, you will have 10,000. Where do you get these figures? So 10,000 at 51,800. Where do you get this value? That is your output just now. So output to process 2 is 10,000 at 51,800. So that is your input to process 2 from process 1, 10,000 at 51,800. And then you have additional material and conversion cost from the question. So from the question, you have material added 2,500 units. And then you have the cost that is 25,000 and the conversion cost 36,420. So here you have your quantity 2,500 at 25,000 and the conversion cost value is 36,420. And then you have your finished goods, your closing WIP in terms of the quantity first. So your finished goods is 11,225 and your closing WIP is 1,200. Your normal loss is 125 units. Here you have the units for these respective items. Okay, you already determined that you have abnormal gain, okay, in your step 1 earlier, the abnormal gain for this particular process. So abnormal gain for process 2 is 50 units, okay. Abnormal gain you put on the debit side of your account. So once you have determined the quantity, then you proceed with the value. Okay, you proceed with the value. You know the normal loss from the question. The scrap value of your normal loss is 40 cents per unit. So you put there the value of your normal loss, that is 40 cents. So you will get a value for this normal loss, that is total of 50 ringgit. So you will have 3 items that you still do not know. Okay, you do not know these items. So hold on. So you do not know the item. So you do not know the item for your finished goods. You do not know the item for your the value for your CWIP and for your abnormal gain. So what you need to do, because you have the closing WIP here, so you need to prepare the statement of equivalent unit, cost per unit and evaluation. So as we have done earlier, so the first part is you do the statement of equivalent unit. So you have the output, you have the units. So the output here, you have finished goods closing WIP and normal loss. So you have finished goods closing WIP and normal loss. You just copy the quantity from your account. Okay, you just copy the quantity from your account. Then you have your abnormal gain here. So you have put in your abnormal gain 50 here. Okay, you add that one. And then for your finished goods, it is always 100% complete. So for all these items, they are all 100% complete. Okay, before that, you need to know how many columns, okay, that you need to prepare. So here you will have 3 columns. Previously for process 1, you have 2 columns. How do you know that you need to have 3 columns? So look at the question. So in the question, you have the material added into the process. Okay, you have the material added into the process. You also have the conversion cost. Remember earlier that I mentioned that you have the 2 types of material. The 2 types of material, one is the material that you input material, the other one is the material that you add or you introduce into the process during the period. Okay, so in this case, you will have 2 types of material. That is your input material and the material added. The input material, it will always be 100% complete. Previously, if you still remember, I did mention that you have the material introduced and the input material. So for your input material, the degree of completion will always be 100% complete. Okay, here you will have finished goods. So your finished goods will always be 100% complete for all these items. Okay. For your closing WIP, what I mean by it must be 100% complete, that means for your closing WIP, it is 100% complete. So it is 1,200. 100% times 1,200 gives you 1,200. And then for your material added and conversion cost, look at the question. So your conversion cost is 70% and your material is 100%. Okay, so you will have this material added and the conversion cost. Okay, and then the normal loss, all your normal loss is 100% complete, so that will be 125. What about the normal abnormal gain? For your abnormal gain, because this is a debit item, all the remaining three items, all these three items are credit item. So if you have abnormal gain, you have to put a negative sign. Okay, for your abnormal gain, you need to put a negative sign. Why? Because this is a debit item while the remainings are your credit item. Okay, so you have to minus that abnormal gain, so that will gives you these figures. So that finishes your equivalent units. Next, you do the second part of the account is your cost statement of cost per unit. So put in the cost incurred during the period. So you have the input that is 51,800. Next, you have 25 and 36 for 20. So you put in there all the figures, all the value, the cost incurred during the period. Next, that will also be your total cost. So you can work out the CPU. So the CPU will be, for example, for input material, that will be 51,800 divided by 12,500. So that gives you 4.144. Can take for up to 4 decimal places. If you have more than, you don't have any, to avoid any rounding error differences. Okay. The third part of the statement, this one, you can total that up. So that gives you 9.144 ringgit, the total of the CPU. So the third part, if you are doing the evaluation. So in your statement of evaluation, you just copy whatever that you have here in the same order. Okay, and then you just times column by column. This one will be 11,225 times your 4.144. So you will get 46,516. And this one you will get 11,225 times 2. So you will have this value and so on. And then you total all these items. That gives you a total of 102,641. Okay. To have a shortcut, if you have the items that is 100% complete for all the columns, then you can straight away take, for example, for your finished goods. For your finished goods, all these columns, you have 11,225. So you can straight away take 11,225 times the total. Okay, times your total total cost per unit. So that will give you 102,641. You can also do that as well, but make sure you write the workings here. Instead of you doing one by one in terms of the column, you can straight away write that as 11,225, times with the 9.144. So you can straight away then, if you have that, you can skip these three columns and you can have the total items only. Okay, you can do the same thing for your normal loss and for your abnormal gain. You can straight away do the total items. However, for your closing WIP, because you have different quantity or different equivalent units for all these columns, then you have to do it one by one. Okay, you have to do it one by one for all the columns and then you total that up. Okay, after you have done that, what you can do is the next step is you want to fill in the blue boxes here. So for your abnormal gain, you have worked it out as 457 here. So that goes to the process account. So 457. And then for your closing WIP, you have this one 9893. So that goes to your process 2. Okay, for your finished goods, you have to do some adjustments. So that adjustments is you have to adjust for your normal loss absorbed. So you have this one, the finished goods value from the statement 102641 here, and then adjust for the normal loss absorbed. That is the value of your normal loss here from the statement minus the normal loss of 50 ringgit that you have worked it out here. Then you've got 103734. So from here, that goes to your process account. So by doing so, your account should be balanced. Okay, that finishes the process to account. Just remember, if you have abnormal gain, then abnormal gain, you have to deduct it from the equivalent units. Why? Because abnormal gain is your debit item, while the remainings are your credit items. Okay, and then for the evaluation, if that item is 100% complete for all the columns, such as your normal loss, your abnormal loss, and your finished goods here, then you can straight away take the quantity times with the total of your cost per unit. Okay. So with that, hopefully you can understand this topic well. So now we have already understood the simple process as well as the closing work in progress. So with that, I thank you.